Thousands of Bitcoiners are saying Bitcoin is not crypto. But does that word even mean what you think it does? Let's mine deep. Here's a fun fact. Satoshi's Bitcoin white paper doesn't contain the words blockchain or cryptocurrency. But you know what words do show up in the white paper, as well as the majority of Satoshi's communications? Cash and money. And that's why, right now, there's a huge semantic debate over whether or not Bitcoin is crypto. So let's dive into the facts. Before anyone had ever used the term Bitcoin or crypto, dozens of computer scientists as far back as the 1980s were pioneering a new form of money secured by cryptography that only existed on the internet in a peer-to-peer manner. Nick Szabo's BitGold, David Chaum's eCash, or Adam Back's Hashcash, just to name a few. Their entire goal was to create a working monetary system without a central issuer. And while none of them succeeded in their own rights, each pioneered innovations that later became integral components of the Bitcoin protocol. Okay, so what does that have to do with Bitcoin versus crypto? Well, they're all key principles to remember when classifying what exactly Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It uses cryptography for the security of new supply issuance and existing supply. Okay, so then let's take a look at crypto, or literally everything else in the top 10 on CoinMarketCap. Ethereum, Tether, Solana, etc. are not peer-to-peer electronic cash systems. They are not primarily used to replace or evolve cash-based systems. And they're not peer-to-peer because they literally have a central issuer. They do use cryptography like Bitcoin does, but that cryptography has backdoors, explicitly in the case of Tether, and implicitly in the case of Ethereum, Solana, and almost all others, by consensus mechanisms that allow funding developers and corporations to override protocol-level rules without having to gain a majority consensus from the total user base. So why should you care? Bitcoin might look like just another crypto in the list of vaporware that Coinbase or Robinhood routinely clumps it in with. But when Bitcoiners say Bitcoin is not crypto, they're not saying it's not cryptographic money or not a cryptocurrency. They're saying that when it comes to other blockchains, coins, tokens, or whatever you want to call them, Bitcoin has way less in common from a governance, ethical, and engineering perspective than those other chains have with one another.
The difference between a centralized staked token and a decentralized proof of work token, an unethical, uneconomically sound, untechnically sound, unregistered security.
Money has to check 3 boxes to work properly: universal store of value, medium of exchange, and unit of account. Crypto doesn't aspire to all or sometimes any of these traits. It functions a lot more similarly to commodities, stocks, or poker chips.
What's the second best? There is no second best.
Whether or not you're a die-hard toxic Bitcoin maximalist or you like to dabble with other chains, delineating Bitcoin is not only an honest portrayal of it, but the only way that accurately conveys what Bitcoin is meant to replace in the long run: the endless supply of these. Don't miss Mina Khattak Backstage. What made Bitcoin click for you, or that moment that Bitcoin clicked?
For me, it was when a bank shut down my account and sent a check with all of my money to my ex's house where the bank account was registered. And I really struggled to get that money back. And I was like, I want to own my own assets. This is ridiculous. And so I think I had a very personal experience where the banking system failed me because I was classified as a bad actor for not being a national of that particular country. This was America, actually. And so at that point, I was like, I need to have ownership of my own funds. And I started exploring Bitcoin a lot more deeply.
Well, how does it feel to be a woman in Bitcoin in the industry?
Yeah, you feel a bit like a unicorn, to be honest. There's very few women, especially in positions of leadership, and especially outside of compliance, risk, and legal roles. So women that are native to the technology and actually building in this space, I think that's less common than women that have a lot of expertise on the legal or compliance side.
And how is it for you to be like this unicorn? Are you not intimidated? How do you fight against that? Or to the women that are scared to join an industry that's so male dominant, what advice would you give them?
I would always just say lean in. If you have an interest in the space, explore your interests. Don't look sideways. Always just look within yourself and think through what's important to me, what I want to learn, what I want to create in my career, and follow that. I was going to wear a t-shirt today that said, girls do everything better, and then I decided not to be political. So I'm glad you asked me that question, but essentially I think you have to lead with knowledge. So in every conversation, come from a place of knowledge and invest your time actually learning. So if you are being accused of not knowing how Bitcoin works, the best way to counter that is just share with them what you know about Bitcoin. And the best way to do that is actually spend time reading. So I would say I spend a lot of my time, I've read a lot of white papers. Bitcoin's probably the protocol that I know the most about, but always lead from a place of knowledge, like counter disbelief with just wisdom.